بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين. Dear sisters and brothers, Salamun alaikum. If you want to have a spiritual life, there are so many things you can do. So many lectures on that, so many books on that. But there's an easy way to do it. There's a very easy way. And I heard it a few years ago. It really helped me, so I thought I would share it with you today. It does wonders. It's very easy, but it's very powerful nonetheless. You know, like in some of these movies, they spend like an hour. The hero goes through so many challenges to find like a secret recipe for greatness or for becoming like a superhero or something, and at the end normally the paper they found is like just blank, and it says the answer has been within you all this time or something like that. Like the answer is not anything that you would be surprised. It's nothing crazy. Normally the answer to be great is simple. And the film I'm referring to, by the way, is the Kung Fu Panda. Great movie, I think, very inspirational. So the rest, so what I'm going to say tonight is not that strange, but it really works. And I heard from one of the great scholars of akhlaq, of morality, that we all have one good trait that is very clear in us, very strong in us. And normally we are known for that in our family, among relatives, between friends. You say, for example, yes, Sadiq is very known for his being a loving person, or Abbas is known for his honesty. You know, I'm sure if you look in your friends, each of them is known for something, one of the good traits of akhlaq, which is very strong in them. It comes to them very easy. And if we look inside, the same is true for us as well. For some people, they find it very easy to show love to others, to support them, to be caring. For some people, it could be that it's very easy for them to overlook other people's mistakes, not to be judgmental. So that teacher of akhlaq was saying that the best way, or at least one of the good ways, one of the fast ways of improving your akhlaq is to work on that one. The one that comes easy to you, take it to the next level. Make sure you become a symbol of that trait. If you see honesty comes to you easy, then try to perfect it. Try to make it 100%. If it's showing love that comes to you easy, then work on that. Use that as a tool. You may see you have shortcomings in other areas. A very great way to motivate yourself to be better is to work on the one that comes to you easy. So this is what I heard, I tried, and I really enjoyed, and I thought I would share it with you. This is on a personal level, on an individual level. On a community level as well, I think this works. Of course, he didn't say that, but I think it applies there as well. And there are so many great scholars who have pointed this out. That if in our community we had worked only on one good trait, by now Islam or Shia should have, or it could have, a great reputation in the world. Something that is clearly lacking. You know, if people look at the Shia community, and I'm not talking about any specific community, does any great feature come to their mind? Like, yes, if you do business with the Shias, they'll never be dishonest. Or they're so loving, or they're so ambitious, or they're so non-judgmental. I don't think any of that would apply. I mean, we don't look at ourselves like that, let alone others, right? So if we had chosen one quality, the qualities that our leaders have, and try to apply that, try to master that within our community, just one, by now, Muslims wouldn't have all these problems they have in the world. It really saddens me, to be honest with you. It makes me very upset that even in the way, not just in the way we live, you don't really see Imam Hussein's values, but even in the way that we try to promote Imam Hussein's programs, or the majalis, or the sessions, I look at it and I'm like, if someone looks at this, what would they think? You know? Like, what great human values would come to their mind? Of course, recently there's been, alhamdulillah, so much progress. You see people going out and giving flowers to people in the name of Imam Hussein or in the name of Prophet. You know, something that is nice, something that really shows what Imam Hussein was all about. Or there are initiatives to donate blood, which is a great idea. And if you ever heard that in your community they're doing it, perhaps on a Saturday, why not try it? But apart from these initiatives, which are amazing, what are we really doing on a community level? Of course, on personal level, we are all inspired, right? We all have shortcomings. When Muharram comes, we get motivated to overcome them or to try and become a better person, definitely. But on a community level, what exactly are we doing that shows we've learned something from Imam Hussein? And I'm not trying to like point finger at any specific community. There may be some which are amazing. There may be some which are really doing this, putting Imam Hussein's values in practice. I'm just saying, if there's a community who's not doing that, well, maybe there's a good time to start. I told you the other day, people who say, we're standing with the truth. We are behind you, Imam Hussein. What exactly are we doing to show that? In what way is the Shia community standing with the truth that the other communities are not? And I'm not saying that there's nothing good being done. I'm just saying these are good things to think about. Or for example, when we are trying to organize our programs, look at the posters we make, the banners, the Facebook pages. Which human value shouts at you when you look at them? They're all really nice. They all show the emotional side that we all feel. But when a person looks at them, what human value does it promote? And this is not to undermine any effort. Any person who's honest, who's sincere, who's working should be appreciated and will be appreciated definitely by the Imam, by God, and we also appreciate. So, of course, All of those are appreciated, but if something's good, doesn't mean it can't get better, right? Doesn't mean that we can't improve. And it's very difficult to talk these things without giving the impression that you're undermining. But I'm really not trying to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that it's really good to have a poster that doesn't necessarily have a horse on it and a sword or spears. If some of our posters have that, great. But let's have a few posters that are not necessarily black, that are not necessarily with spears, so that if someone who's not Shia, if someone who's not a Muslim looks at it, realizes and understands what's happening within our sessions, and that is promotion and commemoration of great human values. We have that within the session, why not on the poster as well? If you write, for example, Hayhat min Nadhilna on the poster, that's beautiful. But why not, every now and then for a change, ask one of the members in the community who has some poetic skills to translate that into English, come up with a nice sentence and put that one there. I was checking actually, because I really care about these things. So I was checking 95%. This is one of the statistics that I make up right on the spot. By 95%, I mean a lot of. A lot of posters looked very much the same. And it reminded me of something. I don't know if you've come across this or not. When we achieve something in our life, even if it's so small, like for example graduating from university, it's great for us, but on a more universal level it doesn't mean anything, right? We're so excited, we post it on Facebook, and I did the same too when I graduated. And our friends and families all come and like it. But if you're scrolling down Facebook and you see someone who you don't know posted about their graduation, or even like winning in a competition or something, you're like, so what? It doesn't really matter to me. What happens is that you're not involved anymore. It's not like your graduation was more important than his. Both of them don't mean that much on a large scale. But in our life, even small things excite us, right? Because we're involved. We like things which are related to us. If the same thing happens in the life of another person, and when we have a child, how happy do we get? All these people having children every day. If we were to get happy for all of that as much as we got happy for ourselves, we would be laughing all day. We don't. And the reason is that we're not involved. So in things in which we are involved, we seem to think they are more significant. Like we think our child has changed the universe now that he came to this universe. We think things that are related to us are so important, are so great. And if someone points out a mistake in them or something, we tend to get offended. And this happens on a community level as well. We are so satisfied with the way we do our sessions. We are so satisfied with the way we do our programs, with the way everything is within our community. But if someone sees it from the outside, they may be able to see shortcomings we have that because we're part of it, we can't see. So I think it's really good to think about these, to know that sometimes being satisfied with something only means that you're part of it, doesn't mean that it's great. There's always room for improvement. Please recite the salawat. One of the things that breaks heart is that sometimes not only we don't promote Imam Hussein's values, we actually go against them. And we make the whole program about this. And this is something that unfortunately I've been witnessing in the recent years in certain programs. Do you remember how I started the talk? I said on a personal level, if you want to get more spiritual, if you want to perfect your akhlaq, you can see what comes to you naturally, pick one good trait, work on that. And then I said on a community level, we can't do the same. Pick one good trait, work on that. If the world sees that the Shia community or the Muslim community is known for one good trait, that would be enough for many of our problems to go away. Now, one of these great traits that I think we really lack in our community is being non-judgmental. Sometimes when I go to programs, and honestly it's not here, right? It's from my previous trips. When people come to me, they show themselves in a way that I think, oh my God, does this guy even work? The way he talks to me, I feel like he's praying 24/7. You know? Like the way they present themselves to me just because they think I'm a sheikh and I would judge, is they present themselves in a way I'm like, oh my God, does this person do anything other than just praying and like fasting while praying? And also calling his grandmother to tell her how amazing she is, just amazing things, mustahabat all day. So, and honestly, sometimes I go home after meeting these people and I feel so bad about myself. Like, if these people are doing all of this, why am I even talking for them? They're amazing. Of course, I don't never say they're amazing because I don't like a person who prays 24/7. It's impossible to have responsibilities and pray 24/7. Like, at least you need to eat, right? So, well, actually, let me mention this story. I think it's good. There was once a person who went to a great scholar and told him that for 20 years, I have come to the mosque and prayed on time in the first row. 20 years, not even missed one day. And of course, going to the mosque is amazing, right? It's perfect. But the scholar told him, 20 days, not even once an emergency came up. Like your wife never needed you, and like if you for 20 years never missed being on time on the mosque, that means you must have forgot about some of your other responsibilities. This was just in brackets. Back to what I was saying. So there are these people who show themselves to me like that, you know? And sometimes it's very funny because when an issue like music comes up, they're so judgmental about people who listen to music that I'm scared to give my own opinion. Oh, like they're so harsh, or they present themselves as so harsh towards those who listen to music, for example, or another act, that I just sit there and say, sure, astaghfirullah. And I can't lie, I can't say that anyone who listens to music is this or that. So I say, may Allah guide all of us. How dare bad people. But once something happened that really, in a way shocked me, and I really should have expected it. So I go home, and one of these people has sent me a friend request on Facebook. And by the way, I'm not judging this person, right? I'm just saying they shouldn't feel like this. So he sends a friend request to me on Facebook, and I add it. And after a few days, I'm just checking my important news feed, and things come up, you know, like you don't want to see, but like, for example, you see that they've liked a video from, for example, Miley Cyrus. I didn't want to see that, but it just tells you that that person liked it. And to be honest with you, I didn't even judge them then. Well, God knows what he's doing, right? Maybe it's an accident. Because that happens too, especially if you're checking with your phone. It's very easy to press like if you don't want to. Like, I really don't care. You can't judge by just seeing that. But I'm saying, if that's what you're really doing, don't come to me and pretend like you're not that. Now I say this sometimes and they say, well, it's good, they want to respect you. Well, that's good, that's good. If that's the case, I really appreciate it. You know? Like, I don't like it that sometimes people say, if you're a person who's only Muslim in Muharram, that's not good. Well, at least if someone's trying to respect Muharram, that's nice. If you want to respect Muharram, you try to be a better, that's nice, no need to judge. But I'm saying in order to respect me, you don't need to be harsh to other people in front of me. You don't need to lie in front of me. At least don't listen to Miley Cyrus in front of me, that's respecting me. You don't need to come and sit in front of me and say, everyone who does this is that, everyone who does this is that. Now this might be a caricature, but I think on a larger scale, the religious community, and this varies really, like if you don't see it in your community, it's understandable. But I'm saying at some point, I don't know why, it's difficult to be real and honest in a religious community. Like we all have things that we have to hide from each other. Why is that? And if you're the sheikh, it's the most difficult. Not sins, I'm not talking about sins. But we've made, like, we're so easy to judge, and sometimes like things that we don't even believe in order to just impress others, we make it so difficult for people to be themselves, to be their own good selves. I'm not talking about sinning. Of course we don't want sin in the community. No, things which are not sin, things which are allowed. And this is why when sometimes people criticize that there are so many hypocrites within religious communities, you can't really deny it. Because there's so much, like so little room for expression of different opinions or different lifestyles, different halal lifestyles, that everyone has to be a hypocrite if they want to be accepted, or they have to leave the religious community for good. This sometimes happens within families. Like a child really feels like if they behave slightly differently, the love of the parent is gone. It's like, I love you unconditionally if you behave the way I want you to. No conditions at all. And not only this makes us hypocrites, this takes away the free will that God gave to us, takes away choice from us. It also makes us be not real. Like when I'm with some people, I don't know if what we have is real or not. And that's really sad. It shouldn't be like this. Our imams were not like this. So I just thought, maybe inspired by Imam Hussein, one good quality that we can try to promote in our community, at least the few people that were here together, is to be non-judgmental. And I think Imam Hussein has done a great job with this whole family, Imam Hussein, Imam Ali alayhi salam, to bring this home to us, that this is a very important issue. What they really cared about was that they wanted people to get close to God. If that's all you care about, if you don't want to say people are bad so that you feel good about yourself, then you will try to do things that reduce the cost of being a good person for others. Let me give you an example for this. At home, sometimes this moment comes that you become angry. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this or not. Sometimes right before we get angry and like shout, there is this moment that we know if we continue with it, things are going to get out of hand. I don't know if you've experienced this or not. If not, then you're not as enlightened as me. Or maybe you're more enlightened. I'm just joking, by the way. This is something I will come back to it, right? I'll come back to it. So there's this time, sometimes when you get angry, especially when you're trying not to get angry, comes this time that you know, oh my God, if I don't control it right now, it's going to get out of hand. And if you don't, then it actually gets out of hand. So now you've shouted. Now you look at people around you, and like, oh my God, what did I do when the anger is gone, right? You're kind of embarrassed, right? And you're like, they're thinking, what was wrong with him? Like, what got into him? What happened? So you're really embarrassed. Now, you could do this with your parents, you could do this with a sibling. It really happens. Like in a household, it's very difficult not to get angry, not to have these fights. It's bound to happen. None of us are infallibles. This is something that I'm trying to point out today, that there's only a few infallibles in the world, which means the rest of us are not. That's just math. So at that moment when you've done that, imagine you've done that to your parents. You've got angry, you've embarrassed yourself, you go to your room, and now you feel bad. So now you want to go back and fix this, right? Now let's go to another perspective, the perspective of the parent. Okay, so we're shifting. See dramatic things I'm doing? So we're shifting from your mindset to the mindset of the parents. Now what are they doing? What's going on in their head? They're like, my son, I raised him, I fed him, now he's shouting at me. So you're kind of upset, you're heartbroken. Now you can also make two decisions. One, you let that heartbreak conquer you and control your actions, so that when your child comes to you, you make them know what they did. You really broke my heart. What did you do? Or if they did something to your mother, if you did something to your mother, what did you do to your mother? That was not cool. What will this do? Of course, that person has an ego. It just makes it more difficult for them. And you must have experienced this. Often what happens is that they become defensive. Well, if I shouted, it's because you did that. That person just came to say, I'm sorry. But when you make it difficult for them, when you make them know that what they did is wrong, you're increasing the cost of being good. So that person, of course, he has an ego. What he will say, he will get on the defensive. So, well, you did that too, that I shouted. You always judge me. You do this, you do that. Now let's take a few seconds back. If that parent, his only intention is that at some point, I need to address the elephant in the room, by the way. Do you feel sometimes the sound goes down? I noticed it, just wanted to say. It's cool, it happens, like it's no big deal, right? Don't let it bother you. So, let's go a few seconds back. If that parent, at that moment, before the son comes to say, I'm sorry, all he cares about is that I want my son to be a good son. Breaking the heart of your parent is bad, so all I want for my son is to be good. So let's make it as easy as possible for my son to be good. Let's reduce the cost of being good. So when his son comes, he wouldn't say that, oh, you broke my heart, or you did this, or you did that. He would just say, you just wait. Let him apologize, accept it, move on. Don't step on his ego. If you step on his ego, it'll just get worse. And this is exactly what Imam Hussein, for example, did with Hur. So when Hur is regretting all his actions, and remember, this is the person who blocked the way of Imam Hussein. For all those days, he stopped them, he caused all those suffering, worries, stress for Imam Hussein, for his family. He comes to Imam Hussein And from a day before he's shaking. People look at her and they see he's shaking, a grown-up man. Because he's scared. What if I go there and he doesn't forgive me? See? The ego is worried. What if the cost is too high? So he goes to Imam Hussein, and Imam Hussein doesn't say anything about what he did. And he told him, hold your head high. See, no cost, no extra cost for the ego. Because all Imam Hussein cares about at the end of the day is that I want her to become a good person. At the end of the day, that's all that matters to Imam Hussein. So why make it harder? So this is very important for us. Being judgmental sometimes make it harder for people to be good. And Imam Hussein again has a hadith which is very beautiful. It's lovely that he said this years before Karbala, years before Ashura, and he put it into practice. So you can't say he just did it. He says, if a person swears at you or says something in your right ear and then comes to your left ear or the other ear and says, I didn't do it, accept it from them. Why? Because if he now is coming to say, I didn't do it, means that he's not proud of what he did. Make it easy for him to be good. If you say, no, you did it, then you're just playing with his ego. You're going to make it harder for him to improve, to let go. When he says, I didn't do it, it means he's not proud. He's regretting. Move on. Or there's this other hadith that says, if someone comes to you and says, I'm sorry, right? If someone comes to you, they've done something to you, whatever they've done, and says, I'm sorry, and you don't accept it, God will be mad at you. And he put this into practice. Who came, he said, I'm sorry, and Imam, without any extra word, just accepted it. Please recite the salawat. And we have the similar even in the story of Prophet Yusuf. When the brothers realize, after all they did to Yusuf, throwing him in the well, forcing him to be away from family, from his father for all those years. In a way, every suffering that happened to Yusuf was done by his brothers. Now, after all of those years, they come and they realize that, oh my God, now this is their brother, he has this power and whatnot. They want to say sorry and they feel ashamed. And what Prophet Yusuf says is that, La tathriba alaykum al-yawm. There's no blame on you today. You said sorry, that's it. It's over us. It's over, it's behind us. All those years that you made me be far from my father, you threw me into a well, that's it, done, behind us. Right? Now if Prophet Yusuf can't do this to people who threw him into well, why can't we do that among ourselves? I don't think any of us threw the other one into the well. Or at least I hope you didn't. The things we do among ourselves are way less significant than what happened, than what Hur did, or what brothers of Yusuf did. But still, we're not as non-judgmental as they were. Now, I really don't want to bore you. I'm sure you've all heard of these hadiths, but I just want to put it out there because this is something that I'm really passionate about. I'll just read a few hadiths. I don't even need to explain them. What do you need to explain about the hadith that says if you blame your brother for committing a mistake, you won't die unless you commit the same thing? If you blame your brother for committing a mistake, You will not die unless you commit the same mistake. What is that going to teach us? It doesn't mean that be proud of their mistake. It just means that don't look down on them. Don't feel like you're better. None of us know if we're better than the other one or not. Of course, the action is wrong. It doesn't say celebrate that action or don't feel bad towards the action. But it says don't look down on them. Or the other hadith says if you see a brother of you committing a mistake, something that could be seen as a sin, try to find 70 excuses, 70 justifications before you say he committed a sin. But unfortunately, I'm not kidding with you. I know people in community who do the opposite. They see something good and try to find 70 ways that could be a sin. In month of Muharram, in the month of Ramadan, I've seen people who are fasting, going around spreading rumors about people of the community. And then we claim that millions we stand with you, Ya Hussein. What exactly are you standing with? You know, sometimes I feel like we're sitting in heaven, and then from there we judge everyone else. Like we don't realize that all the things in the Quran are for us. All of those warnings, all of those cautions are for us. Whenever it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, be careful about this, that's about us. Who else is Quran talking to? Who do you think all those warnings are for? It's for us. But we're so proud of ourselves. We're so happy with ourselves. You know how long it's been since Ashura? And we didn't even manage to do one thing. Just one thing. A few years ago, someone that I really like, and again, I'm not saying I judge the community or anything, because that would go against my whole point. There's no need to judge people for being, I'm just saying that this is somewhere that we can improve. So a few years ago, a person that I'm not judging, a person I really admire, a person who's great, called me and said my mother-in-law has passed away. And everyone knew that this mother-in-law has done so much oppression to this person. It was not a typical mother-in-law, because normally mother-in-laws are amazing. So this one peculiar mother-in-law had done a lot of oppression, and it was to a certain extent that everyone in the community knew. So as soon as this person passes away, may Allah bless her soul, people go to my friend and tell him that forgive her. Now that she's passed away, forgive her, let go. And he calls me, I don't know what time it was, 2 a.m. because of the time difference. I was in Iran and they were in the UK. And he says, can you find a way for me to be okay not to forgive her? Like, just because she's passed away, why should I forgive her? And of course, that's actually a good point. Like, just because someone's passed away doesn't mean you have to forgive her. But why don't even forgive her when she was alive? And I told him, you know, forgiving her, it's not just for her, even though it would be good for her. You don't want to send her to hereafter with all those. But it's good for you. Like, if you claim to be a follower of Imam Hussein, the person who, when they threw stones at him, there were some people who threw stones at Imam Hussein, and Imam Hussein saw that this one is not as wicked as the rest. This one, there is still some hope for his guidance, at least in the future generations. So Imam actually prayed as he was throwing stones at him. So Imam prays, God, this one, don't let what he's doing to me affect him. Now, if we're a follower of a person like this, then what are you doing calling me? Forgive her, let go. Your heart, our heart, should be the place for love of Imam Hussein, not hatred of our community members, our fellow brothers and sisters. What's the point of carrying that hatred? And sometimes it's within families. Like I know brothers who are not speaking for 10 years. So let's really try and bring this home. Let's not be judgmental. Let's not make it difficult for people to express themselves. Let's not make it difficult for people to come back, to repent. Being judgmental makes it difficult. Puts people on the defensive mode. On one hand, we do that. On the one hand, we raise people to such a high status. Just because a person's giving a lecture, he's mashallah, is this and that. Look at the comments they leave for the reciters. I'm speaking for myself. I have no claim of being good. I try my best to be a follower of Imam Hussein, but that's about it. If you come to me and you leave a comment for me that you're amazing, you're this, you're that, that means I haven't done my job. Because if I've done my job correctly, you should know that no one's infallible. We're all human beings trying to be good. No one is an exception, apart from a set few that we are so proud to be followers of. Apart from them, no one is perfect. We all make mistakes. And if you have seen this in your life, if you have failed horribly, I have, then after that, you never look down at anyone. All that matters is that I know without the help of God, if God removes His help, for 1 second, I'm capable of doing anything. Once you experience that in your life, you understand that others are the same. So you try to help them. Even if they make a mistake, even if you hate what they've done, you love them. You try to help them. Because you know you're not any better, you're the same. So I really beg our community, and let's try, at least we who are here, let's try not to judge anyone. The actions are wrong, and I have to repeat this 1,000 times because there's always this one odd person who comes and says, are you saying that doing bad things is okay? No. But the person, there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with loving them. And this is what our imams taught us. I'll just finish with one hadith and then we'll prepare for morning. It says, if you cover up the mistake of your brother or sister, one mistake, in the day of judgment, God will cover 70 of your mistakes. So let's try and do that. Please recite the salawat. Can we take the lights? السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين يا أبا عبد الله. Tonight I want to talk about the story of two people whose martyrdom broke the heart of Imam Hussein Aoun and Muhammad, the two sons of Lady Zainab. Their father had told them that when you go there, make sure you do anything to support your uncle. So of course, when the day of Ashura comes, they want to go to the battlefield and defend their uncle, and defend the side of their uncle, the side of truth. But because they're really young, they're really afraid that Imam Hussein may not allow them to go. So Lady Zainab, their mother, goes to Imam Hussein and tries to get permission. So there's a small poem I've written. I'll try to recite it. Please recite the salawat. Allow my two sons to fight for the truth. They can't stand this dark world without you. After our parents, you were all I had. Now here to join you are Aoun and Muhammad. And of course Imam doesn't agree. Imam says, well, these are so young, how can I accept them to go? Remember in Siffin when Abbas was 8, he rushed to defend you from swords filled with hate. So Lady Zainab reminds her brother, you know, in Siffin, when Abbas was only 8 years old, but that didn't stop him from rushing. When you were attacked, he rushed to defend you. Do you remember how proud our father was of Abbas? Now why not let my children come and defend you too? I know they're young, but they want to defend you. Their father has made me promise that they will go and defend you. So the Imam agrees and actually helps them to get on their horse. And they go and fight. Imagine two children. They go, but they don't want to they don't want to be left behind. So they go and fight, and of course at one point they would be martyred. They fall on the ground. And Imam Hussein comes, and this is one of the most beautiful stories, because normally Imam Hussein goes himself. But this is so difficult that Hazrat Abbas goes with him. So Imam Hussein and Hazrat Abbas go to bring the body of these two children back to the tents. But he's worried. He says, how can I go back? What can I say to Zainab? How can I show these bodies to their mother? So Imam Hussein is talking to Hazrat Abbas. What do we do? But see the greatness of Lady Zainab. Not only she goes and asks permission herself for her children to go to the battlefield, but also because she knows that it's difficult for Imam Hussein, because she knows that Imam Hussein is now ashamed to bring the bodies back, she goes and hides somewhere. She's a mother like any other mother. Of course she wants to run to the body of her children, but she doesn't want Imam Hussein to be ashamed. So she goes and hides somewhere, so that when Imam Hussein and Hazrat Abbas are bringing the bodies back, they wouldn't have to face Lady Zainab. They wouldn't have to feel ashamed. How great are you? How great are this family? وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ.
Ya Hussein.